Prime Minister, here you are at the Labour Party conference. I think it's your 5th as leader.
Yes.
Do you still have the appetite for the fight, I guess? Are you concerned that maybe there's some people think that you might have been thrown in the towel?
I've had that all the way through. I don't know if you recall, this happened to me before the 2020 election as well. I can't tell you why people suddenly do that. Maybe it's because they don't understand why anyone does politics in the first place. But you observe Parliament. You see me down in the debating chamber. I'd like to think I don't look like I've lost anything.
What do you tell the delegates about your chances at the election?
That we have every chance. We hear. I'm always, loath to just talk about we're here to win. No, because it's not for us about just the mere act of winning. We're in politics because we believe that together we can get New Zealand through crises when they can occur. We can solve some of our long-term issues. We can make New Zealand better. And I believe we can do that. And on that basis, I believe we will win.
Do you think that the reforms you're driving, you used to say that because you grew up in the 80s, you thought reforms needed to be done quite slowly and smoothly.
Yeah.
Do you think that it's very different because that was one massive reform, but you're doing a lot of reforms all at once? Do you think that you've moved too fast or on too many fronts?
There is a wide range.
The three waters, the health. Is health a problem, an issue for you at the moment? Are you hoping to see that kind of settle down?
Because
that seems to me to be the one critical area that you can't afford to let slip.
Oh, and look, it's essentially that change began on the 1st of July. So, of course, we are in a transition phase, but I feel like in the long term, it is absolutely what we needed in order to address some really significant issues in our health system. And I think most people would agree with that. On some of those other issues, as I say, they're not things that we necessarily wanted to be tackling. But sometimes, in this role, you just all have to be the grown-ups in the room and say, if we ignore this, which is what has happened for decades, as much as that's the politically easy thing to do, it would be so easy to walk away from it. But then it would be us that you could blame for those rates increases because we did nothing. And I don't think that would be responsible.
Even if it loses you the election?
Well, my job is to make sure it doesn't. Interestingly, of course, no one is out there campaigning on rates rises, which is actually the alternative.
Can you guarantee that income insurance will go through?
Well, it's still part of our agenda. One of the things that I think is difficult is that we are debating at the moment something that is not meant to, will not, even with our current timeline, which is the election, it will not have any effect till 2024, 2025.
Which is the next term. So
and the next term.
It's an election kind of issue.
Oh, well, so no, the reason I make that point is not around the election, but more the fact that, currently when you're having the debate, it's with cost of living at the fore.
Yeah.
Understandably. This will not have an impact on anyone for several years, but it's that doesn't make it an easier environment to have the discussion. But at the same time, you're doing a series on building back better. If we've learned anything from COVID, the GFC, the earthquakes, it's that when people lose their jobs, it has a massive impact on their ability to keep their home, to support their family. It causes long-term economic scarring because they'll often rush into jobs that won't be at the income level to support their families or to retain, for instance, their home. We want to fix that problem, and that's what that debate is all about.
Speaking of rebuilding better,
yes.
We're running
Speaking of your centrepiece,
we're running a piece today in which 56% of people picked cost of living as the number one issue at the moment for them. And a lot of them, women tended to vote for that, tended to pick that one more than men were inclined to do that.
Interesting.
Would you say that is your biggest short-term issue?
Yes, I would.
What is your biggest long-term issue?
All of the issues that attach itself to people's financial stability and well-being in the long term as well. Because you think about the big issues that we've tried to tackle as a government: housing and housing affordability, child poverty, mental health, and climate change. Now, your financial stability, you'll find to varying degrees an impact in each of those areas. Your ability to transition away from fossil fuels and build more resilience as an individual on climate change, so much of that at the moment is impacted by your financial and disposable income and your financial position. We know that poverty issues can severely impact your mental health and well-being. Of course, it's obvious the impact that financial stability has on kids and for housing. So long term, of course, we want to make sure that we continue to see wages outpace increases in the cost of living. But we've also things that we individually need to do in each of those areas as well.
Your wedding?
Oh, yes.
Twice delayed.
Yeah.
Do you have any vague time frame in mind of when it might actually happen?
We had loosely said this summer, and then we just were too slow, and our friends are all very busy and all over the place over summer, so we probably left it a little too late. So no, we don't have a date or a plan.
Would you like to get it done before the election?
I did have it in my mind that the last time we postponed it that would be what we would do. Now, I don't know. Barring us doing something spontaneous, I can't see how that's going to happen.
Like the Prime Ministerial elopement?
Is that a thing?
That's spontaneous.
That would be spontaneous. So, yes, we don't have a plan. I can assure you I put all of my effort in planning into running the country as opposed to my own wedding planning, so that's where I channel all of that energy.
Is Clark worried you'll change your mind in the meantime?
No, he seems quite comfortable.
Quite confident in his chances.
It's been a long engagement. How long have we engaged now? Oh, what? I don't know, it's been like 4 years?
It's been a wee while.
It's been a while.
Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel to stay up to date with all the latest news from the New Zealand Herald. Click the subscribe button below or check out one of the videos here and head over to nzherald.co.nz for more details on these stories and more.